Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Thursday version of Today in Sports Betting, doing it college football style. And Scott, after hacking our way through that NFL game, we've got a couple of games that may be a little better than the NFL game tonight. What do you think?
I'm assuming the players on the field will still be better in the NFL game, but in terms of entertaining content, I have to assume both college games should be better.
Yeah, agreed. We're going to take a look first out there in the Mountain West. Actually, we're going to take a look at a couple of Mountain West games as the Utah State Aggies travel to the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, to take on the Nevada Wolfpack. The Wolfpack, 17.5-point favorite. That number has been going up consistently since yesterday. That was originally in the neighborhood of 13.5, and we have had some serious movement towards the Wolfpack. Total is 56 in this one. Scott, this is a bad Utah State team. And
I feel like you're even being generous when you say that.
There's no other way to put it. They are no bueno, as they say. Anything to like about them in this matchup at all? Any hope? Anything that you can hang your hat on?
Well, I have a play today on both games today from a side perspective, but so I'll be pretty vague. But for the sake of this matchup, I think the one thing Utah State can maybe benefit from is the fact that Nevada's defense is average at best. You go into the season, you face two really good defenses in Boise State and San Diego State, and your offense, of course, looks awful. Now, the question is Nevada. They gave up 30-plus points to Wyoming. They ended up giving up 19 points to UNLV. I think UNLV and Utah State are relatively similar.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I know it pains me to say that. Utah State was actually a bowl team last year, but they do look like they have fallen precipitously since from last season to this season.
So based on that, I think the argument you can make is that the offense might not be as bad as people think they are because they were going up against a weaker defense this week than the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The issue you have there, though, is that in terms of trading off between San Diego State's defense and Nevada's defense, you're also trading off San Diego State's offense with Nevada's offense. And Utah State gave up 570 total yards to San Diego State, which sounds impossible.
Yeah, they gave up 570 yards, 38 points, which I actually looked it up. It was the highest point total that San Diego State had put up since 2017. So
this Utah State defense, no bueno, as the kids say. So now you face a Nevada team which isn't really balanced at all. They have a decent running back, but they mostly rely on Carson Strong throwing the ball around the playground for 400-plus yards a game. No problem in that because he's a good quarterback and they have very good weapons on the outside. But the question you have to ask yourself is, can Utah State either A, get enough stops to keep this game close, or B, score enough points, even though they're averaging 10 points a game, to keep this game within the number? And I have a play today on this matchup. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if I had to look for another play in this game, I would look to Nevada team total over 36.5. I don't think that Utah State's going to get stops pretty much ever in this game. I think they might get maybe one or two early on, but at the end of the day, I expect a bunch of big plays for Nevada, and they'll probably score at least 170-yard passing touchdown, something like that. But Nevada offensively, I'm not going to say that they're the best offense in the entire conference. I think that they're one of the most underrated offenses in the entire nation, if you really think about it. Their offense is really good. Yeah, and people just don't talk about them.
Put up 420 passing yards against Wyoming.
And Wyoming's defense is good.
Yeah. They're certainly average to slightly above average. They gashed them for almost 500 yards, 76 yards on the ground, 420 yards through the air.
I'm just saying, if you're scoring 37 against Wyoming, I know it went to overtime and whatever, but they still put up 30-plus in regulation. You should easily put up 40-something against Utah State.
Yeah.
And I feel like, based on that, a team total of 36.5 sounds high. It's not high enough. It's around what Western Michigan was yesterday, and we all know how that turned out. So I think that if you want to break down Utah State, you can talk about their offense and how it's bad, their defense, how it's terrible. But I've seen their defense be insanely bad against a really good offensive team and a below-average offensive team. And now they face off against a really good offensive team again. I'm going to go with the team total over for Nevada because I think that they could easily drop 40 if they want to.
I think that's solid. They put up 37 in their first two. The team total over is 36.5. Like I said, one of them had to go to overtime against Wyoming. But yeah, I think the UNLV is a pretty good comp for this team, certainly from a defensive standpoint goes.
I think offensively, UNLV might be better than Utah State. Like, I don't really know.
Perhaps
it's kind of close, but UNLV is not good. But they have I don't know. They might have been showing a little bit of life at times here, which is definitely a lot more than what Utah State can say.
Well, this Nevada team, they have been able to shut down both their opponents' passing game. Obviously, neither one of them has a really strong passing game, but they've held them to 126, 128 yards on the 222, 233 from the passing standpoint. So they have done a pretty good job stopping the pass. They've held each opponent under 4 yards per carry. So, yeah, they're not a terrible defense. They're never going to be confused with Georgia or San Diego State, but I think they're average to slightly above average.
Yeah, just looking at the actual numbers here, I think Nevada should probably win 42-20.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on that? They could even score more than 42. I feel like I'm being generous on that, but
I also have a play on the side in this one.
Okay.
So I would take a look. At the total. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm leaning over.
Yeah, I think 54 is a low number in this one.
If Nevada, if you're going to take a total of 54 to the under, you need to make sure one of your two teams aren't going to score 40 plus points.
It is 56. I looked at the wrong game first. It was 54 is in the other game.
Either way though,
56, right?
If you're going to be taking an under and you think one of these teams is probably going to score 40 plus points, then you are threading the needle there on that under.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said 42-20. I'll into the over.
Yeah, I don't see any. I don't see anyone being. I don't see this game going under. I don't. I think that one of these teams. I think Nevada's going to have a lead, and I don't think they're going to play tight defense. I think they'll just try to keep everything in front of them at some point.
Something that also is worth mentioning that people forget about in conference play is a look-ahead spots. Nevada next week plays at New Mexico. That's not a look-ahead spot at all. They're just going to try to beat the hell out of this team.
No danger of a trap game there as they take on the Lobos. So, all right, that's certainly one in the books, and we do have the other Mountain West contest there tonight. As a team that you and I were high on before that first game. Scott, we like that Colorado State Rams.
I can't say that I was high on Colorado State. The reason why I took Colorado State was because I was extremely low on Fresno.
That's true.
Fresno gave up 4 rushing touchdowns and 200-something yards rushing to Hawaii. So I was like, all right, this team's probably awful. And then I watched them play, and I realized if I thought Fresno was bad, then what do I call Colorado State? Yeah,
because then you watched the Hawaii game last week where they just got absolutely dominated by Wyoming, right? Mm-hmm. You go, wow, that Hawaii team is not good. So it kind of all trickles down to figuring out that Colorado State is probably a pretty terrible football team. Weather's going to be good in Fort Collins. You and I both checked that. That's certainly have to worry about up in the mountains of Colorado in November. But everything looks clear and fine for this one. 3.5 points is the Cowboys spread here. 54 is the total. I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I have a play on the side, so I'm not going to be talking about it. But for the sake of this actual matchup, I know the total's at 54. Seems low for college football. I think it's a little bit too high for these two teams. Wyoming loves to play time possession football. They're going to run the ball all the time. They're going to throw the ball maybe 15 times in the entire game and just bleed the clock, dominate the line of scrimmage, use their elite rushing game and their good defense to win the game. And we saw that against Hawaii. Their offense scored 30-something, which was surprisingly high compared to their normal standards. But their defense gave up 7. I don't think anyone was surprised by that because they got after Hawaii's quarterback 5 times, sacked them. They forced a couple turnovers. Really good defense. I know they got torched by Nevada in week 1. I think people are still underestimating how good Nevada is offensively. So I'm going to give them a pass there. They rallied from behind, forced overtime, lost, but whatever. And they took care of business last week. Colorado State, the issue I have with them is the fact that I don't think their defense is very good. Their rushing attack got shut down by Fresno. And I'm also concerned that they don't have a quarterback they can actually rely on because they used Centeo in the first week, who was awful. They ended up bringing Patrick O'Brien, the starter last year, to play in garbage time, who was fine, but once again, it was in garbage time. And the head coach announced publicly, we know who the starter is, we're just not going to tell you. And when when you are forced to go to those type of maneuvers, you're pretty desperate. So I want nothing to do with Colorado State. Wyoming's also dominated this series historically. I believe they're 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 meetings. They've been really good. For the sake of this game, I'll lean to the under because I think that Wyoming should try to win this game similar to their game against Hawaii. They'll try to score 28 points or so, try to limit Colorado to maybe 21. For the sake of team props, though, looking at the numbers here, I see Colorado State's team totals 25.5. That's way too high. I'm going to go with the under for Colorado State.
This is a Rams team for all they did wrong, Scott. They were pretty stout against the run.
I actually looked into that. They were not. What happened was that Fresno State's quarterback, because college football counts sacks as rushing yards, Fresno State's quarterback had negative 37 yards rushing. So Fresno State's starting running back actually averaged roughly 4 yards a carry. So that was misleading. I did look into that.
The 84 yards in 42 carries.
So. Correct, but Fresno's quarterback had 6 carries technically for negative 37 yards rushing. So they had Rivers and Fresno who had 2 rushing touchdowns and 90-plus yards. He was fine.
So you had 36 for 121. Okay, well.
It's not great either, but it's definitely better than 2 yards a carry.
Okay.
But then again, you have to look at Wyoming, and Wyoming has an even better running back in Vale, who is really, really good. And they also have they kind of have a little bit of a 1A and a 1B option there because they ended up using a bit of a committee last week. Of course, Vale got most of the touches, but they had this backup running back who I also think is pretty good. And if you want to break him down, his name is Trace Smith. And they used him last week, kind of more than week 1. Week 1, he only had 2 carries for 3 yards. Last week, he went off. He had 20 carries for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they have a bit of a 2-headed monster there now. And I think that Wyoming should dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's right on brand. They average 4.8 yards per carry. This is a Wyoming team that's going to look to run the ball first and foremost. And it's one of those games where, you come out and run the ball and you go, well, we're going to run it until you stop us. And that probably won't happen. I think Colorado State is probably, like you said, they're probably a little better than they are against the pass. But at the end of the day, I think the offensive line is able to wear them down, and I think they're going to get theirs. I don't have a play on this one, so I can go full hog here, buddy. I like Colorado State. I like Wyoming to cover the 3.5, and I like like that under 54. That's not too.
I find that team total for Colorado State too high. 25.5. Really?
Yeah, that's a little strong for me. They put up 17.
They put up 17 against Fresno. Fresno doesn't have a good defense at all.
No, you got to think the Colorado State, you got to think Wyoming has a much better defense than Fresno State does.
I think they have to. Wyoming might have a top 3 defense in the entire conference.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They might be top 2 if you want to argue between them and San Diego State.
I would think San Diego State is better, but
probably. I'm saying top 2, top 3. Boise maybe, but whatever.
So I usually try to stay away from teams covering and the under, but I think both of those are really solid plays here. I'm with you on the team total under for Colorado State. I think that's way too high. I don't think they have the personnel even to get much done in garbage time there if it comes to that.
There is a chance that O'Brien can go nuts through the air. Then again, we don't even know who's starting because Colorado State didn't announce who's starting, which is just an absolute joke.
Right.
But I'm assuming it's O'Brien because Sendeo was that bad. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah, it has to be. I don't know. I don't know. And, unless he, did some really impressed us in practice or, some of that bullshit. But
Yeah, so Colorado State, don't get me wrong, they're going to try to throw the ball around. They have a decent receiving core, but they want to run the ball. Their head coach loves to run the ball to his own fault.
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, right? They lost to Fresno State by 21.
Yep.
How many times do you think Colorado State ran the ball and they were trailing by 14 at the half and trailing by 21 after 3 quarters? How many rush attempts do you think they had?
Well, I can tell you they.
No. Don't look it up. I'm just asking conceptually. A team
Well,
lost by 21 points. How many times do you think they threw the ball and how many times do you think they ran the ball?
Well, you would think they wouldn't have run the ball any more than 30 times.
Yeah. They ran it 40.
Yeah.
They ran it 40 times and they had 33 pass attempts. 40 times? What are you kidding me? Like, you were down 20-something in the third quarter. Throw the ball. That's the thing about Boston College's coach, though, which is why I like them. The reason why we ended up backing them is because Fresno was so bad against the run against Hawaii. We thought Colorado State would run the ball down their throats,
Right.
And they didn't. They ran it 40 times, and they had 3.7 yards per carry. Like, they didn't do anything, really, and I'm concerned that their coach is once again going to try to establish his identity, which is run the ball against Wyoming, and it's not going to work.
Right, and well, apparently his identity also is to be a racist and COVID insensitive.
So that's a separate story.
That's a separate story. Yeah. Does he make it through the season, Scott?
With COVID and everything, you got to assume that there's longer leashes for these
I
coaches.
guess. I got.
Truth is, I don't think that the COVID and the racism, I don't think that's really going to affect his job now because they could have got rid of him before.
No, I understand, but I mean, it's certainly not. It's certainly not.
It doesn't help his case. I'll tell you that much.
It's not a check mark in your favor.
No, but the point is they kept him anyway, so he'll stay. They're going to try to rebuild something. Is it going to work? Probably not, because I don't think that this guy's that. He's going to go
0-8. He goes, well, he's 0-8, but at least he's a racist and verbally abusive. So there's that.
Yeah. So it can only get better from there. But
you're right, and we probably should say on the show that all those charges were looked into. He was cleared, so these are all just alleged at this point.
He was cleared, but if you're getting allegedly accused of that kind of stuff, that's probably not ideal.
I know. We just have to tread.
No, I know. Well, nothing. He was cleared of all that stuff. I'm just saying. I don't hear Nick Saban getting accused of that, but when we talk about this game, we broke it down. I like the under. Colorado State should score what? I consider 20 points kind of their ceiling here.
17 to 20 should be right in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I view it.
Give me 13 or 14 in legit time. Give me 1 touchdown in garbage time.
That's fair.
Call it a game. All right, there you go.
That's Wyoming eating up all the time possession.
I am also on the under here as well, and I like Wyoming to cover that 3.5. I think that's a good call. So,
okay.
All right, there you go, Cuds. That's a college show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with like 17 shows is what we do on Friday. No, we're going to do we'll do our college show for we'll just incorporate the Friday night games into our regular college show. We'll have quick picks on those. You want to just do it that way?
I kind of like making 2 videos, but that works for me, I guess.
I know you do. You love making the videos. All right, so we'll probably have 2 videos.
Damn right. Yeah.
We'll do 2 videos on the college. We'll do our Friday night breakdown.
I like it more for spacing.
Then we'll do our normal Saturday show where Scott and I are having our race to the bottom there as far as who can pick the games on Saturday, and then start tomorrow night. We'll have our NFL show up for the week. So there you go. That's a day.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, guys, we appreciate you watching as always. And for deeper dives into both of these games, you know the drill. Make sure you stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com, the premier site on the internet for sports handicapping information. Get over there. You know it. You love it. You'll live it. It is winnersandwhiners.com. And for myself, for Scott Reichel, I hope every single one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. We appreciate you watching. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.